Okay, so saying thank you so much. So we would like to apologize sincerely. We have introduced the wrong person. So this was Song Min Lee from Korea as an Android Google developer expert. So we sincerely apologize. But anyway, we'll have our host Justin here to present to you the next speaker.
By the way, hold on to your questions because we'll have our Q&A portion right after our next speaker, which will be Pradana. So we would like Pradana to take the mic and present your presentation to everyone.
Okay, cool. Wait, let me turn on. All right. Thank you guys for the introduction. And I think I will share my screen and start right away, right? All right, cool. I hope you guys can see my screen already. So, yep. Hello everyone. Let me introduce myself. My name is Suratama Ajis Pradana. I'm from Indonesia, and currently I'm working as engineering manager at Bukalapak, one of the startup e-commerce platform in Indonesia. And yeah, I'm also a co for the Google Developer Expert for Firebase. So in here, I want to talk about something that I really like, which is about front end. Even though I'm Firebase, basically, but I love doing a lot of stuff about technology. So since Firebase is touching on a lot of other platforms or domains like Android, web, cloud, machine learning. So that's what I'm really, really excited about. So in here, I want to talk about my favorite topic, which is about micro front end for the web development for a project that scale. All right. So I hope you guys familiar about this kind of front end stuff. Basically, yes, it's a front end web development. All right, I will tell you a little bit further later. So just for a quick introduction, I was also a GDSC lead on 2017. I was one of the first DSC lead in Asia after India. So Indonesia, there is the first DSC program, and I'm one of the pilots and start the DSC. And then after that, I became a mentor for the Google Developer Kejar, basically web mentor, web that actually integrated with Firebase. And then I continue my journey to become a GDG co-lead for GDG Jakarta. And currently now I'm for the expert for the Firebase. All right. So let's now, first I would like to talk about the concepts. Okay, so first of all, as you know in here, I think I need to hide this first. Okay, cool. So first of all, I would like to talk about the monolith front end. But before that, can you give me some quick a few seconds, because I just realized my laptop ran off power. Okay, wait, let me charge before I'm missing from the video call. Okay, I did. So basically, as you know about the front end, it's actually a monolith, right? If you're familiar with front end, of course, you're working for a startup and a company, like what is it? Maybe you realize that they only have one front end, and then they have 16 microservices or maybe 20 plus microservices. Like the front end itself is really big, and when you try to run the test, it's really long. Like after 30 minutes, you pass the test, and then sometimes, oh no, the test failed after you waiting for a long time, like 15 or 20 minutes. And that's quite wasting of time, right? Because it's literally too big. So basically, if you realize this one, you will see that actually there is some server A in here. Server A actually, it stands only for one front end, and everything is wrapped into one server. For the navbar, the content, and everything is as one server, as one project at scale. Okay, but for the micro front end, you can actually split those rendering UI into like a server A and server B. So basically, the server A is only responsible only for the navbar. For example, in this one dashboard, microfrontend as a root and static. But for the component or for the content itself, you can also split that into a different server. Like for example, server B. So in this case, you can divide the responsibilities. You can divide the unit testing, divide the scope and everything. So it became much more reliability. So that you, for example, you would like to run the test, you only need to run the test for this particular navbar without even knowing what's going on the container. And then for the server B, you only need to run tests for only this part without even care about this stuff. So in this case, it will benefit us a lot of things, like it's easier to set up, and then the test will be run faster. And yeah, for the developer, for working, you will be not really in pain, like there are a lot of tests and then failing. For example, you are trying to push some code on the GitHub, and then the CI/CD running, right? And then once the CI/CD runs, and wow, the test failed after you wait for an hour. Like that's really wasting time. Okay, that's cool. I hope you already understand the concept for this Microfrontend, which is easy. It's just a split UI rendering. So why Microfrontend? The first one, it provides better scalability, faster development, multiple frameworks, which means actually for the server A, you can you can use maybe like AngularJS. Let me show you. So for this one, you can actually use AngularJS, and this one you can use React.js. So basically, all of this stuff is actually independent. So they don't care about the dependencies for each other, which is a great one. So you can be flexible with the frameworks and be flexible about the team that your skills that you might have. Okay, and then the deployment independence. It means that whatever you do about the deployment is actually split to each other. It's not related with each other. So for example, if you are trying to deploy a server B and then it fails, it's not affecting the server A. So which means server A is still stable and it's still accessible. And server B, maybe you can try to redeploy or everything, maybe do some fixes. It's also fine. The point is that at least it's not like the wall of your website will be broken or something. At least there's still some part that's still working. And of course, easier to testing. In case you do some unit testing, is faster. And in case you do some automation testing, you only need to do some automation on this part only without even affecting this one. So the scope will be smaller and faster. Easier to ensure that the rest of the app remains stable, of course. Cool. So what actually is Microfrontend fits for? The first one will be the big scale product. As you know, if you're building a very big scale product, I suggest you to even think about Microfrontend from the very start. Because if you're kind of late, and then you will be kind of exhausted with a lot of features development coming for each sprint, next sprint, and again. You don't have time to split that later. So you have to think about this way earlier. The second, if you have a lot of big scale engineering teams, for example, in your company, maybe there are a lot of squads or teams, like 20 plus teams that handles multiple features, maybe the payment team, maybe the accounts team, e-commerce team, then you of course need to implement this kind of Microfrontend concept. And the third, the apps or maybe a website may expandable over time. And then for heavy features and journey on a product scale. If you have a lot of features, like for example, like a live stream, and then maybe tracking product or everything, then Microfrontend will be really fundamental one, because you can just split this on the journey. For example, there is one Microfrontend for the payment and then one Microfrontend for the product tracking maybe. So it will be great. And the last, it will be massive active users. If you have a lot of active users, of course, splitting into microservices splitting into Microfrontend will be really good. So what is the trade-off? Yeah. Then will it double the rendering and the server access too? Yes, of course. As you know, you are splitting the server A and server B, right? So whenever one user accessing the website, it will access both the server, which means it will double the traffic. And yes, that's a trade-off. But that's why we need something called as single page application, or SPA. So what is SPA? Maybe some of you already understand or realize about this one. So single page application, this one is really really good one, and a really useful features or technology that we can implement into our Microfrontend. And basically, if you use React or Angular, you already implement this single page application already. So what is it? The main concept for the single page application is that, for example, there's a user, right, accessing your website or UI in here. And then when try to access the website, it will, of course, requesting the URL into the server, right? And then now this is where it comes to different. Usually, when you try to access a URL or website, it will give back a response about the HTML or maybe the website itself. But in this case, for the single page application, as you know, since it is single, it means that it's only return only one file, which is index.html. But with only that one file, it actually has a lot of routes, or maybe a lot of components, a lot of pages that are actually dynamically changing. So in this case, this server will return two types of response, which is the static assets and the data. And then it will mix that into and give back into the user. So so that you can get what is this actually SPA is doing. Maybe you can play this video. As you know, in here, the navbar stays the same, but for the content in here is changing dynamically based on the navbar that we click, right? As you know, here, click. So in this means actually the page is still stay the same without even refreshing everything. It stay the same. We just need to change the route, and the content will be changed dynamically, and that's what SPA is, which is good. So for example, in this, for the static assets like a navbar, we don't have to request it for every pages, but we can also get the data dynamically based on what we requesting on the navbar. So this is really good for the reliability, which means if you are implementing Microfrontend, even though you are having some traffic on the server A, maybe navbar, and server B for the container, but with this one SPA, it will still stays the same. It will only request one time, which is when the first time you request the website itself. As you know, in here, it's not affecting the traffic a lot, but the website is still accessible with a lot of pages. Cool. This is one of the example. And then now let's see, like what I said before, Microfrontend without SPA on data change. For example, we like to navigating from one page to another pages. Server A will load 2 times, and the server B will load 2 times, of course. And now, but with SPA, like I was say before, the server A is only loaded 1 time, because the only thing that changed is only the server B, or maybe the container. So that's why the website or the Chrome or the browser doesn't need to refresh this one, but only what's necessary, which is for the container itself, which is server B, loaded 2 times. Okay, it's better, of course, right? If you are navigating a lot of things, like from this page to this page to this page, which is 3 times page changing, it will only affect this one without affecting the navbar. So the navbar will only loading for the one loaded 1 time only, stays the same. All right, is it enough to optimize the traffic? Actually, not yet. Why? Now I will try to use something called Progressive Web Apps, or PWA. Of course, maybe some of you are already familiar about this kind of stuff and everything about these progressive web apps. So take a look a little bit about what it's about. Progressive web apps is a technology that can let us fill the website into a more native experience. and as well as having another benefits about the features, like for example the offline capability. So in this demonstration, as you know, we can install the website into our phone, which is basically you can see or access the website like a native. If you try to visit the website and then you try to install the application, and then you can try to see. So it's like a native application, but actually this is a website. And this is the example for the web VR, which I implement. So this actually web VR is a PWA where you can install, and the benefit is that we can have a native VR in a fairly low storage, because this is a web, and we just need to save the URL and the static access and everything. So the main point of this PWA is that the first one, service worker, as you know, it will ask for the service worker to fetch the data, whether it is online or offline. In case you are in an online state, then you can get the newest data or the newest static access from the server and return it. But whenever, for example, you are in a very low signal places and you got no signal, or maybe you goes offline all of a sudden, your website still accessible, because it will use the cache from the service worker that already store when you are getting the data from the server in the first time that you request the website. So basically, whenever you are online or offline, your website will still accessible, which is good. That's the main point of PWA. Okay, so what do we do with the Microfrontend about PWA? As you know, Microfrontend with SinglePage Application or SPA that I talked about before, but without PWA on data change, as you know, server A loaded one time and server B loaded 2 times, like what I said before. And now, if we use SPA and as well as the PWA on data change, server A will load it 0 times from cache, while server B loaded 2 times, which means this is really great to reduce the traffic because for the Microfrontend concept. So this approach, if you're using Microfrontend, is really recommended to use SPA and PWA to reduce the traffic, so that you can still take benefit from the Microfrontend concept, but also minimize the trade-off from the Microfrontend concept. In this case, we can remove the trade-off from the Microfrontend by implementing SPA and PWA features. In fact, even we add more features into our Microfrontend, which is good. For example, you can use AngularJS for the SinglePage application, and you can use the PWA for the capability. Okay, cool. There are a lot of resources that you can get from the internet, so you can feel free to browse more about that and try to play around about that. Which is, I think this is something interesting to research, do some research or investigation that you can do on your own and try to implement it on your own, because it's really interesting. I recommend it. So okay, so cool. Now our website looks great now. So is that enough? Not yet. Why? Because how about the data reliability, right? Yes. So in this case, as you know, we have a very great website. Like for example, it has Microfrontend, it has a SinglePage application, it also has the PWA features for the offline capability. So, but the only thing that we still not do some tweak about is the data, how we can get the data, right? How to improve the data reliability, data rendering optimization. How? For example, if you are using a backend with a MySQL or everything, you'll fetch the data into MySQL and get the response, and that's it, right? Like nothing special. I mean, just like that, you know, kind of common. But actually, you can do something more about that with the Firebase. I can do that for you. Like Mr. Fire said that, not me, actually. So with Firebase, there are a lot of features that we can implement to improve the experience of our Microfrontend. So, for example, you can use for the backend Cloudflare Store and Firebase real-time database. But I will not talk about that in here because it's out of topic. But one thing that I can tell you about, it provides us a high reliability. Why? Because the server is managed by the Google team. So it means that you don't have to care about that. If we, for example, if we try to use some MySQL and we deploy it on our server, we have to manage the server, right? We have to manage the infrastructure. But with this, you don't care about it because Firebase team will do the rest. For the second point, high uptime up to 99%. This is applicable into the Firestore. If you're using Firestore, the uptime will be this one, 99%, which is it's almost 10 online every time. Which is good. And this is one, it takes more interesting is that is the offline CRUD operation supported. So like what I said before, if you are in a very not good place and then there is low signal, right? You can still access the website with PWA or Progress Web Apps. You still can access the website, but there is no data operation there, right? It's only the website, but not the data. But with this, with the Firestore or with the real-time database, you can literally use this feature as well. You can actually do some offline operation on your website. So your website will be really, really native that can be accessible whether it's online or offline. That's what really great Firestore can provide. It's not just security because Firebase has security rules, but it's also provide offline support, which is great. And last but not least, is the real-time changes. Both real-time database and Firestore is provide real-time changes, which is awesome. All right, cool. So now I got a very awesome website with great data reliability. Not yet. It's not all actually. So now it's about how to deploy the Microfrontend easily in minutes, right? So if you know, okay, we got Microfrontend, but how to deploy it and how to make those Microfrontends communicate each other perfectly so that they can provide a good experience for, of course, too. How? I think this kind of looks hard or complicated at first, but actually not at all, because you can use Firebase multi-site hosting. Actually, I know there are a lot of ways to deploy a website, but with this one multi-site hosting, everything will be really simple one. You can just use one command, Firebase hosting, deploy, and then your target, for example, Microfrontend A, deploy. That's it. And then your website will be deployed into Microfrontend A with only one command. Like it's not even 1 minute actually, it's just like some seconds. And it will take your website online on a Microfrontend and it's synced perfectly. I want to talk about deeper about this site multi-hosting. If you try to log in the Firebase and then you can access the hosting part, you will see the site that actually you manage. So actually, if you understand maybe hosting, we can only just deploy one, but actually no, we can deploy multiple websites, which is multiple domain, multiple type, for example. You can even add another site here as well. This is for the demonstration. We have two websites here, for example, Indonesia Firebase Playground and another playground. So basically, these two Microfrontends, different part of website that you can deploy to A or to B. That's it, which is great. Okay, so how about how we can try to manage the synchronization between those Microfrontends? Actually, you can, for example, this is one of the actual project in Firebase Indonesia Playground. In this case, you have to manage the Firebase.json here. And then you have to add something like headers here. And it means that your Microfrontend should be only accessible from your another Microfrontend, so that other person or the other people can access it. But it's only your other Microfrontend can access it. How? That's why in here you can put some headers in the array, and you can access control origin, and then you can put your Microfrontend host in here, the value. You can provide this value from env, or maybe you can hard code it, but it's up to you. But you can do that actually. So that's why this is how your Microfrontend communicating with Microfrontend A and then B in Firebase multi-site hosting, which is good. Okay. All right, we finally finished, right? Definitely, yes. So we have everything set up and really works perfectly. Actually, I wanna do some live demo, but it will take too long time because I talk a lot in here, like a lot of topics. SinglePage Application, PWA, Firebase, the database, and Firebase hosting are a lot. Maybe I can demonstrate later, or maybe you can check my other video or Medium or article. I can talk about that in a deeper way. Some useful resources that maybe you can get. Basically, the first one, actually, I have some. I've made some generator CLI that you might be can use. This is still really in our early stage. There are not a lot of validation that I made here there because I don't have a lot of time actually. But maybe you can. But this is still accessible and usable. I made this something like Microfrontend generator. Maybe you can try to do that by npm install and then the library name Microfrontend generator, and that's it. And then if you like to do some generate, you can do make a comments Microfrontend generator and generate. That's it with a very simple one command. Actually, if you like to contribute also in the generator, you can feel free to contact me and I will add you there, and maybe you can do some tweaking about that. Or maybe you want to make your own CLI or generator for the Microfrontend generator. You can also take a look for the codes there, and yeah, maybe you can learn a lot from there. So we have some GitHub teams there. It's a global one. It's still a small scale organization. Maybe you want to join, feel free to let me know. And yeah, basically the CLI, this is all the projects that actually related: the generator, the Microfrontend, the container, and the static one. So what is this all about? Basically, I will just explaining a little bit about how this CLI Microfrontend works. The generator is the CLI, which means you can install this into your local devices. And you can install it by npm install global, and then maybe like a Microfrontend generator for the name. And then with that, you will have the CLI installed, and then you can try to generate this type of Microfrontends in your local, so that you don't have to copy and paste your project, deleting some lines of code, which is tiring. You can just generate, and everything will be ready in a very short time. So the Microfrontend, there are three types in here. The Microfrontend itself, which is the small part of the component. The container, which means is the parent who will contains other Microfrontends, and then the static will be the static assets that might be useful for other Microfrontends. So basically, I collect all the static assets in here that can be used by other Microfrontends, so that it will have a better reliability, a better traffic data. So each of the Microfrontend will not save any static assets like a fav icons or maybe the name. Everything will be in here, so it will be more reliable. So maybe for the implementation, as you know, in here is just a sneak peek for the result of the demonstration. As you know, in here there's a dump dashboard, and there's a Microfrontend component here, which means it's a different server. And you can also use Microfrontend as a root. So, and then also you can get this static description from the static assets in here. So basically, the Microfrontend can get the data from the static assets itself. So we don't have to store everything in here, but we can get the data from the other static server or maybe from the container. So basically, all of these are synchronized. Okay, maybe this is some bonus knowledge. Are you XR enthusiast? Maybe you can also implement this kind of Microfrontend for web VR. So basically, in here, I have this actually web VR container here. WebVR PWA, and then I have this XR Microfrontend 1 and XR Microfrontend 2, and then I can combine those Microfrontend into one web XR PWA. And with that, I want to build some native application with something called TWA, or Trusted Web Activities. Maybe you can learn more later because it's outside of this topic. But the point of this TWA is that it will make your website become native available, and you can maybe publish on the Play Store and other store as well. Maybe for the sneak peek, you wanna know how the macro front end implemented in WebVR. This is one. So there is macro front end with this sphere. Maybe we can call it sun, and this one blue is earth, for example. And the space is maybe for the other macro front end, which is there will be 3 servers here. So I would like to turn off one of the server. Maybe the server got crashed or something. And when we try to refresh, boom, the planet is gone, right? But the website is still accessible, which is great. And now I would like to turn off the earth, but not literally turn off the earth. Literally, okay, boom. So it's gone, but the space and everything is still accessible, which is great. Now after we fix some bugs and we try to redeploy that, it will there again. So the point is that your website will be still stable, still accessible. And for the content, it can stay dynamic because it has a different server. That's it. All right. So I think that's all from me. Thank you so much, guys, for attention. I hope it's really gives you a lot of insights and about everything other else. About things that you want to learn more about. If you have any question, feel free to reach me out. You can see also about my media and everything. And thank you guys for your attention. And have a nice night. Thank you.
All right. So thank you so much, Sir Pradana. And after all that, let's go on to our Q&A as well. And while we gather up all the questions, we will be humbly presenting our certificate of appreciation to Sir Pradana.
All right.